What is never spoken about in the media or the Houses of Parliament is the bloody conquest that kicked off the United Kingdom, as it's called, which started with the conquest of Wales. Westminster, that oh so locally famous force of incompetence and malice, first took Westminster by killing Llewellyn the Last and his followers, leaving only the treacherous few to side with Edward and begin 600 years of colonial nonsense. Edward was simultaneously doing a suppression campaign in Ireland and Scotland at the same time, whilst trying to commit the conquest of Scotland, made quite famous in the movie Braveheart, as dramatised as that may be. Edward Longshanks was a real man, though many would wish he wasn't. 400 years after the conquest of Wales, the Act of Union is signed, which essentially was signed to stop war and stop this constant war of conquest by Westminster onto Scotland, seeking to finally control all of the Isles. Now, with the Act of Union, sadly, Westminster had accomplished that because quite quickly the Scottish Parliament was closed down. The Scottish Parliament had more of a popular sovereignty, direct democracy approach to things, not like the representational Parliament of Westminster, which ultimately defers its power to the King, regardless of what you may hear, which I suppose I should explain a little bit. So essentially, the King's Council is the seat of power in the law of the land, the law of England. It's different to Scots law. Scots law is a whole different kettle of fish. But needless to say, Scots law is under the attempted control of English law, part of this continuing conquest. So basically, the English legal system is essentially headed by the king. He is where the buck stops. He is the head of the Church of England and the legal system. This was really solidified by Henry VIII, who is not necessarily to do with the history of violence of the UK, but certainly the man that really solidified what the UK is today in terms of a legal, religious, colonial force that conquered the planet. That is essentially what Westminster is. That is essentially what the ununited kingdom is. That is essentially what the British Empire was. It was Henry VIII's bastard nightmare. Since then, the English legal system has been entirely corrupted, entirely twisted, held together by tissue paper and sellotape. Last year, with the Scottish referendum being denied, even though Northern Ireland has a precedent to allow for a referendum every 7 years. Well, 7 years passed and Scotland was denied its democratic decision by the law of England. You see the severity of having a king in charge of the legal system. Now, he could step in. He has the ability to step in and change that and fix that, but he doesn't. Because again, the legal system is very wrapped up in what the UK is. So it is basically this bastardization of the legal system that allowed England to seize control over Scotland. Now, the things like the Ulster Plantation, again, the English legal system is responsible for that. Anything you can think of that seems corrupt or a bit weird is basically down to Westminster and the English legal system. Now, before the English legal system, there was Celtic law, which was far more rational, normal, secular, like regular law. If you're international, think of your legal system. It's more like that, not run by a corrupt dictatorship, but based on common ideas of decency and what is fair. For instance, the current problems to do with the royal family and international sex trafficking scandals would be impossible in a country with a normal legal system. In the UK, it's entirely possible for the leaders to get away with the worst crimes of humanity because the law is set up to do that. Oh, this is all but a brief bit of the history of violence of the UK. This is literally just an introduction to the horrors of Westminster's genocide across the planet, not just within the UK. It's just within the UK, people are seemingly unaware or less aware of the damage done locally, the genocide, this history of violence that is the United Kingdom. So Wales is certainly no part of a United Kingdom, and Northern Ireland was just another colonialist experiment by Westminster. Now, they are seeking to make Scotland the third local colonial administration fully under the English crown. And that is the next chapter yet to be written in the history of violence that is the United Kingdom. Am I